everybody, and welcome to Chattin 88. Welcome to Chattin 88. If you're just tuning in, hey, that's great. 'Cause every single week we have a guest. Oh, spending time with me. I said spending time with me. I said spending time with me is the best. Oh yeah. Welcome everybody to Chattin 88's at 8. My name is Curtis LaBelle, and I almost tripped up saying Chattin 88's at 8 because one of the cool things that we are going to be doing, doing this show and having gone through COVID, there's been some revelations that we've created here. Well, not that we've created, that we've kind of come to having an amazing team and being able to bring the show to you. We've always been doing everything at 8 o'clock. And that was one of the things with Chattin 88s was, well, Chattin 88s, there's myself at the piano. And why is it called 88 is because there's 88 keys on the piano, and I'm chatting and it's playing its own thing and we're chatting away. And, it was just a thought that we'd be like, hey, why don't we do the show at 8? And not only that, we've decided to change the show to 6 o'clock. So why are we wanting to change the show to 6 o'clock starting next week? Because some of the guests that we've had are overseas. I wish. We're only in Canada right now, but in the eastern part of the country, it gets late. It's 10 o'clock. By the time they're done, it's 11. Some people aren't watching the show live. They're having dinner and they'd like to be able to watch the show while they have dinner. And so we decided as a team that starting next week, our show, Chattin 88, is going to be starting at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That will be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's not Chattin 88's at 6. It's just Chattin 88 coming at you with your host, me, Curtis LaBelle. So make sure that you take a look at our website, chattin88.com, as well as make sure that you have marked it in your calendar and saved the time. So you are tuning in at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here in our western part of the country, and then 8 o'clock in the eastern part, and half past the hour in Newfoundland thereby. Yes. We have some great fans over in the far eastern part of Canada who are enjoying their time with us as well. So make sure that you mark that down in our calendar. One of the things that really makes me feel proud of who I am as an individual, and also as a host and as a leader with Chattin 88 here, and as an executive producer and owner, I would have to say that is the volunteers that we have behind the scenes. And, at this point right now, I would have to say that we are not able to, let me rephrase that. We're able to get things done because of the volunteers that we have here at Chattin 88s. You cannot pay for a volunteer. I mean, you could pay for a volunteer, but then they would be not a volunteer anymore. But when I say it's priceless, there's that Kodak commercial. Not that they're sponsoring our show. However, you cannot, volunteers are really priceless when it comes to their amount of time that they put in for what they do. And especially here at Chattin 88s, I want to give a big shout out to Cassandra, who has been one of our rocks, volunteering her time, setting up all of our cameras, and really taking the initiative to make our quality of product better and stronger for our viewers like you at home, and so that you have a better experience. So if you would like, please make sure that you follow us on social media, or give a big shout out to Cassandra and thank her for all the work that she's done and making sure that we look good, we sound good. And not only that, You know, these are people who have children. These are people who have lives outside of Chattin 88s, and I am so thankful for them. Everybody who was on our team is thankful for them. So big shout out to Cassandra for committing her time to us here and wanting to see us succeed. Also, we have Josh from Brutal Reality Digest with his company as well. He has come in and spent some time with us to make sure that we have what we need in order to be successful and to create some sort of a, you know, a camaraderie and a community with us here as well at Chattin 88. So a big shout out to Cassandra and Josh. And also as well, I'd like to give a big shout out to my husband, who's also another producer here at Chattin 88. He has done some amazing work making sure that there's camera angles where my head's not chopped off. He's also been making sure that I'm taken care of for what I need and all of that, as well as we'd also like to thank Corey, we have a big team. So our, you know, Corey has been one of our main administrative and booking managers here at Chattin 88s. She's a force to be reckoned with behind the scenes, especially with all the connection with our guests, booking our guests, making sure they have everything that they need in order to be successful on the other end. Because, you know, COVID has came in and wiped everything out with what we need to do. I'm looking forward to the day where we can get back to having a guest right next to me as close as we can, and really in involving them in a more intimate situation and an intimate atmosphere. So big shout out to Corey for keeping the guests connected and really going the extra mile, just like every one of our volunteers do. And of course, our lovely social media manager, Joanna, she is a huge part of our community here at Chattin 88. She's the one that's going to be talking to you right now. So why don't you give us a shout out as to where you're from? Perhaps maybe tell us what you're drinking tonight, or tell us what you are having for dinner. There's people watching us all across the country, and make sure that you say, hey, Joanna, now you know who it is that you're speaking to. Let's make it personal. Let's make it connected together and make it a more personal experience for you at home, and say, hey, Joanna, thank you for making this Chattin 88's wonderful on social media. And perhaps maybe ask her a couple questions or two as to where she's from, so that you can possibly make a new friend. And of course, we would like to give a huge thank you and a big shout out to Shaw Spotlight for their support and their encouragement for us to continue to be doing Chattin 88s. I almost said at 8, but we're going to have to change that. Just Chattin 88s here. You know, I never thought that I would be doing a live show until one day when it was, you know, suggested to me, hey, I'd be a good talk show host or anything like that. And I'm learning. I'm a musician, I'm a husband, I'm a teacher, I'm a lot of things, but I never thought that I'd be a talk show and you know what, here I am. And it is so exciting. And to be able to have Shaw Spotlight support us and put us on their programming, thank you from not only me, but to all of our volunteers that we have on our team here in our local and central Alberta region. Thank you so much from Red Deer, and thank you so much from all of us at Chattin 88s to Shaw Spotlight for everything that you have done for us and making sure that we are successful. We love you and we appreciate you. Thank you so much. And to all the volunteers that are out there, if you're a volunteer, let us know. If you volunteered for many things in the world, let us know and tell us where you're from. And we'll give a shout out to you. We'll support you just as much as we have the support on our side. You know, reciprocity is exactly what it needs to be. Give and take and give. And that's how it works. And we appreciate not only Shaw Spotlight, our volunteers here at Chattin 88s, our team, but you volunteer your time to stay committed and watch us at Chattin 88s. and allow us to bring great, amazing Canadian content. You know, some of the artists. And you know what's really exciting about today? Today is our 30th show here on Chattin' 88s. And we're very excited about that. 30 shows. I know that doesn't sound like a lot. It's only a small number to some people, but 30, being able to keep committed to doing something and following through with it is key. You know, how you do anything is how you do everything. And for us here at Chattin' 88s, we've had our team stay with us all the way through, including Shaw Spotlight and all of our volunteers and you. And because of that, we've been able to bring you such amazing, great Canadian artists. Now, there's 30 of them, and I'm just going to say a few of them right now. And if I forget your name, please don't hate me. But we've had Haley Benedict, we've had Jesse Rhodes, we've had Velour, we've had Zaid, we've had Robert Laidlaw, we have had Evan Farrell, we have had, oh my goodness, we've had Tyler McKinnon, we have had our guest tonight, our 30th guest tonight in season 2, David Gilmore with Gilmore Guitars here in Central Alberta, and also with Guitars for Kids. And that's one of the big celebrations we have for tonight. Who else am I thinking of? Oh my goodness, I draw a blank because I'm on camera and I'm learning how to do this. It's a crazy thing. Why can't I think? But you know what? Even though I'm unable to think of some of the guests that we've had, and if we've forgotten you, don't worry. It's not because I don't love you. It's just that my brain is just thinking at the time right now. We have some amazing things because we've pushed through a pandemic. We have decided that we are not going to take no for an answer here at Chattin' 88s. We're going to push through the finish line. And again, I'll say it one more time. How you do anything is how you do everything. And because I have such a strong ambition and my team has such strong ambition, we are going to be able to succeed. And let me tell you, because we have gone through a pandemic, we have so many exciting things coming up for you for the rest of our second season here in 2021. Not only that, some of the guests that we have coming up, I really want to say some of the names, but I'm not going to yet. Let's just say there are some major Canadian artists coming up on our roster here for Chattin' 88s, to the point where I am reading their biographies and their autobiographies in order for me to get to know them stronger. And I've had the opportunity to speak with their public relations managers and their booking managers. And it's all because of our team. It's all because of volunteers. And it's all because of how much they put into what they believe in. They believe that what we do at Chattin' 88s makes a difference. And that's what makes us different from other talk shows. Is not only are we supporting Canadian artists, but it's the people behind the scenes that take pride in what they do. They honor what we do as a team. And because of that, we are committed to bringing you top-notch quality interviews and entertainment. And speaking of entertainment, I'm going to sing you a song before we bring in our guest, David Gilmore. And I just thought of this right now. I'm going to sing a song. I've done this before, and I'm working on new music. But you know what? If you know this song, then you can follow me personally on Spotify. Check this out. This is original right here, Curtis Lavelle. Here we go. So this is Blue Dream. This is a song for you that I wrote last year. Blue Dream, you've heard it before. And if you don't want to hear it, then you can definitely turn off the radio or the TV, or you can sing along and make sure that you enjoy. Blue dream, gonna take you away. Flag fly, freaky here to stay. Space between the blinking light. Saw you walking in the dead of night. Oh, you're the tear that's keeping me here. Take everything. You kill my heartstring, 'cause I'm giving it all to you. Can't you see I'm in love? 'Cause I'm giving it all to you. Can't you see I'm in love? 'Cause I'm giving it all to you. Can't you see I'm in love? I'm in love. I'm in love. Don't move, take your breath away. Yeah. Click your heels, hope the wind will stay. Saw you walking in the morning. Knew then my heart skipped, it was a warning. 'Cause I'm giving it all to you. Can't you see I'm in love? 'Cause I'm giving it all to you. Can't you see I'm in love? 'Cause I'm giving it all to you. Can't you see I'm in love? I'm in love. I'm in love. You know, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors again and all of our volunteers. Without you, we don't exist. Oh, you're the tear that's keeping me here. Take everything. You kill my heartstring, 'cause I'm giving it all to you. Can't you see I'm in love? 'Cause I'm giving it all to you. Can't you see I'm in love? 'Cause I'm giving it all to you. Can't you see I'm in love? I'm in love. I'm in love. I'm in love. You know, that's one of the coolest things that I like to be able to do here at Chattin 88 is just be vulnerable with my music. I mean, that wasn't perfect. If you listen to the second verse, I was literally in a different key vocally than what I was in the piano. And that's okay because, you know, I laugh because I honestly think that if there's anything that I've learned in the industry today, it'll be 20 years down the road. Someone in grade 7 is going to be listening to this going, well, I don't think he was really good when he listened to this, but I'm really hoping there's something else I can listen to. Oh, and that's the beauty of it. We're not perfect. Volunteers aren't perfect, but we grow and we grow together. And one of the people that I have learned to grow with in our local community here in Red Deer is our next guest. David Gilmore is not only somebody who has supported the community, he has been a caveat to artists bringing their instrument to them and allowing them to have an avenue for creativity. This guy is extremely special, and he is waiting for us patiently, and we are going to bring him in. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. We can't hear you, but we know that you're clapping. Please put your hands together for Red Deer's finest. Now, I mean Red Deer's finest. And I'll say it again. Red Deer's finest, David Gilmore. Here he is. David, are you there?
I am here.
Oh, my friend, what an absolute pleasure this is to have you on our show tonight. In one sentence or less, tell me how you're feeling.
I feel pretty darn good for an old fart.
Hi, I'm Vixen.
And you know what? You have a birthday coming up. And I mean, I hate to spill the beans. I'm not going to tell everybody how old you are, but you have a birthday tomorrow. So if you are online right now, ladies and gentlemen, or if you are listening to our show on Shaw Spotlight or YouTube or our podcast channel, please make sure that you yell, "Happy birthday, David." And I'm going to sing it for you right now. Happy birthday. No, I'm not going to do that because we're in a different key. No. Happy birthday to you, my friend.
Thank you.
And you are
Thank
still
you.
a spring rooster.
Well, some days. But I feel pretty darn good. And thank you so much for having me on the show, Curtis. It's a real honor.
You're so welcome. And you look absolutely radiant. You always have the image of a hat. And so I felt it was appropriate for me to wear my hat tonight. And that way we're kind of on the same page and apropos with everything, if you will.
We're both breaking the rock and roll protocol of wearing our own merch.
Girl, let me tell you, we're going to go into a different topic if we talk about merch. My whole life has been about merch this last 3 weeks. Let me tell you, I don't want to go into it, but no, you're absolutely right. You wear your merch and I'll wear mine, and Bob's your uncle, and let's just make sure everybody finds out where they can find that merch. David, you are, to a lot of people, you are a special superhero here in Red Deer, and extended further than that, because you, when people hear David Gilmore, they think of a guy. I mean, in my experiences that I have spoken to with people who have associated with you, whether it be a friend, an artist who has like, oh, I just bought this guitar. It's a Gilmore guitar, but I don't know where it's from. And then I've had the opportunity to actually say to that artist, well, you don't know where Gilmore Guitars is from? It's like, it's the Central Alberta Fender. It's the Central Alberta Martin. It's the Central Alberta. It is its own thing. You really do have a magical touch to a lot of artists.
Well, thank you
So
very much.
You have Gilmore Guitars.
I do.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about how that was created, where that came from, and then we'll get into the excitement of you doing your 200th guitar that you have created for society and artists alike.
Well, I had a guitar in my hand pretty much my entire life. I remember being just a young kid that when I couldn't even walk, my mom had a guitar in the house, and I used to play it like an upright bass because it was too big. So there's always been a guitar in my hands. And then, when I was a kid, in my 20s, I spent some time on the road playing in rock and roll bands, and I did that whole sort of thing. But I was a teenager, I think probably 16 or 17 years old, and I'm going to date myself here now because I was watching a talk show.
Careful, your birthday's tomorrow, honey.
I was watching a talk show with Alan Hamill, and Alan Thicke took over from Alan Hamill. It was that talk show. So this was in the 70s, obviously. And his guest on this particular day was Valdi. And Valdi had his guitar with him on the show, and he sang his song sitting in the chair. And then Alan Hamill said, hey, that's a cool guitar. And Valdi talked about how that guitar was built by Jean Larrivée. So at that moment, I'm going, wait a minute. Somebody just built a guitar? You mean I could just go to a shop and build a guitar? So that planted the seed at that time. So, my entire life from that point moving forward, it was always in the back of my mind that one day I want to build a guitar for myself, an acoustic guitar for myself. So fast forward to 1995, I kind of got in between radio jobs and had an opportunity to go to Tegasky, Saskatchewan, and take a Lutherie course.
Right.
Time,
and that's awesome.
Yeah, Timeless Instruments, and David Freeman is the master luthier there that offers that course. And it was a course where you took a guitar from design to finish, and you built a guitar. So I built as a hobbyist from 1995 until May 1st, 2011, when I opened Gilmore Guitars as a full-time entity. So, and as far as the craft is concerned, there's something to be said for that 10,000 hours. Because when I first opened the shop, I was okay as a builder, but probably about 3 years in, the craft turned a corner. And, I got to that 10,000 hour, threshold, and the craft just got better and better. So, today I'm not scared to say that my stuff is as good as anything that Taylor or Gibson or Martin is doing.
I would have to say, and I think our camera has turned off. Can you see me?
I can't. Your camera has turned off.
Yes, our camera has turned off, but you can hear me, and that's. I think that's we're having a slight technical issue here on our end, but don't worry, we're working on it. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. Yeah.
But I'm black, right?
Well, the screen is.
Okay. Well, I'm not. I'm not. Okay, let's just keep it going. So
Sure.
Okay. What was the last thing that you said? You don't like, there's a lot of, okay, I'm not a guitar player. Let's just get personal here. I'm not a guitar player. And if anything, I could probably play, just because I have been taught. Now let's talk about teaching. I know you're not, this camera has turned off and I'm black right now and nobody can see me. So our technical guy is just going, well, what's happened here? But we're figuring that out. So I know that one of these cameras have turned off. And so
back.
I'm back. Here I am. Yay, I am back. Let me tell you how exciting this is today. No, I don't play guitar. And I can play a couple guitars. A couple chords. But you say, I personally think that your guitars that you create and that you have developed and that you have honed in to make your own, because you know what, okay, stupid question. Do you play guitar?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
So you have obviously wanted to create a tone that's meant personally for you. If I went out and I created a piano, and if we wanted to talk about the history of Steinway, there's a whole, there's a great book on it that Glenn Gould has written called Romance on Three Legs. And if you haven't ever read that, please, I encourage you to do so. I have read it myself, and it's actually quite an eye-opener of what Steinway is and who Steinway has been in the piano community. But we're talking about guitars today. So I'm not a guitar player. So what has it been like to be able to kind of create and craft a sound? Because Fender has a sound, Martin has a sound, and there's many more guitar styles out there, but Gilmore has a sound. And actually, our first guest that we had, number one, was Jesse Rhodes, who is a huge Gilmore fan.
He's a great advocate.
What has it been like to kind of create and hone in on the sound that is a Gilmore guitar, and what makes it special for an artist to say, yeah, I like that? I'll let you talk in a second here. Personally, as a piano player, I like to play on a Baldwin as opposed to a Steinway. As artists, we all have our own sound that we kind of evolve to. So what has it been like to create a Gilmore sound for you?
Well, the first thing that I wanted to do when I started building guitars was I wanted to build a guitar that I wanted to play. And I'm a little guy, so dreadnoughts have always felt large in my arms. So I started building smaller body guitars. And it's a myth that you can't have a small body guitar sound as loud and as large as a big body guitar. Because I've built little parlor guitars that, have knocked the doors off of, big dreadnought guitars. So that was the first thing for me. And it's interesting when it comes to the craft of building guitars, that me as a builder approach the guitar from the exact opposite end that a consumer would. So for me, the very first thing that I'm concerned about is how is it going to sound? The second thing is how is it going to feel and how is it going to play? And the third thing I'm concerned about is how does it look? As a consumer, when you walk into a guitar shop, the first thing you do is see it. So your first connection is visual. So how it looks is the first thing. The second thing is you feel it. And the last thing you do is hear it. So we approach the guitar, from the builder and the consumer from opposite ends. And hopefully we meet in the middle, and that's when the angels go, oh.
How has it been being a luthier here in our neck of the woods, and being a local, well, I mean, I'm going to say a local hero as well, if you will.
Well, that's really not for me to say. That's but as a craftsperson here in Red Deer, the interesting thing is, because you're in Red Deer, and I think it's the same for artists. I think it's the same for athletes. I think it's the same for anybody that sort of gets outside of the normal day-to-day blocks. And I think the prevailing attitude is, well, he's from here. How good can he be? Because people that do that aren't from here. So when they come into the showroom and they pick up a guitar and that eyebrow raised, they go, well, where did that come from? They don't expect the guitar to be as good as it is. And it's quite common.
I really, you're making me want to play guitar. I don't play guitar, but if anything, I think the connection between artist and the instrument is extremely, again, don't believe a word I say, because it's only based off of my experience. And if I had the opportunity, I mean, we're not doing a plug here. I enjoy an electronic instrument to be a Casio. I know a lot of artists would say, I'll be a Roland, I'll be this, and to each their own. And there's artists that would say, I would play this. And if I was on a real acoustic instrument, I would be a Baldwin. But I'd have to say, David, if I played guitar, your connection to what the craft is, to what makes you believe what sounds good, makes me want to play a Gilmore guitar. How has that been for you as a provider, as I guess you could say, in our neck of the wood, and further, I don't know how far, just before I go any further, how far does Gilmore Guitars reach right now outside of Central Alberta?
There are guitars on the West Coast. There's guitars in Ontario. There's one in Ireland. One of the things I often tell people when it comes to choosing a guitar is that guitars are like puppies. They'll pick you.
I agree with the same way when it comes to acoustic pianos. They will pick you. And speaking of picking you, where I wanted to lead into that was, how does it feel to be able to create such a, I don't want to use the word instrument, but how does it, what is the word I'm looking, how does it feel to be able to create such a poignant piece of the journey, and I guess you call it an instrument, in the artist's, in their journey, a part of, the piece of the puzzle? How does it feel to be able to have people play your instruments? What does that mean to you?
It's an absolute buzz. And as a luthier, if a guitar that I've built has inspired an artist to write a song, I've done my job as a builder. And it's really cool. There's a couple guys here in town. Obviously Jesse Rhodes that you mentioned earlier. He's been playing Gilmore guitars for quite a long time, almost since I opened the shop 10 years ago. Jesse and I have become pals, and He's been flying the Gilmore Guitars flag since then. Mike Sabo is a guy who's also been on your show.
Who's also been at one of our guests as well.
Yeah, and he's got a Gilmore guitar and is writing songs on it all the time. Ryan McMahon is a singer-songwriter on the West Coast. He lives in Ladysmith, British Columbia on the island. And he's really one of my favorite songwriters. And, he writes many songs on his Gilmore guitar. And every once in a while, I'll just get a message with an attachment. Hey, Dave, I wrote another song with your guitar. And just, those moments are just, that's the buzz. That's the buzz.
And there's nothing else like it, right?
No,
of course not. Because we as artists, you being an artist yourself, you may not, you said that you dabbled in a little bit of composition here and there and enjoy writing music for what you like as a guitar, but you are the toy maker, you are the creator, you are what allows us artists, and I speak for all artists, no matter what the instrument is, you are one of those special parts of the puzzle that allow us to create, enjoy.
Well, I create the tool that allows you to do your job as a singer and a songwriter, as an entertainer, as a performer. I provide the tool for you to do your job.
100%. And as a master Lutherie yourself, you're on your 200th guitar, right?
I am.
Tell us a little bit about that experience for us.
Well, it's 200. That's a lot of guitars.
It is.
So, and that 200 goes right back to the very first one that I built at Lutherie School. So number 200 is a bit of an homage to the very first guitar that I built, because I designed a guitar, which is an ongoing model that I do now, called the Model A. And I named the Model A after my wife, whose name is Adrienne, and her friends always called her A. So the Model A is named after her because without Adrienne, there's no Gilmore guitars. Quite frankly, she just the support from her is just, it's just, I can't.
And being Gilmore guitars, you have also been involved with the development and the give back, and it's important that I know as myself as an artist, if we can give back, I know there's artists that are able to give back for mental awareness, HIV for AIDS, giving back to them, etc. And family violence for myself. Family violence is a huge thing for me with Families Love, with the song that I have done. You do something for all of the opportunity for kids called Guitars for Kids. Tell us a little bit about that, where that came from, and what it's about.
So Guitars for Kids was actually developed originally by a good friend of mine, Dan Walsh, who was actually the very first artist to say, I'll take a guitar. So I built Dan Walsh a guitar before I opened Gilmore Guitars, and he toured that guitar around the world. He's probably got 2,500 shows on that guitar. So he developed a charity in Waterloo in Ontario called Guitars for Kids. And we were sitting around the shop one day, Don Routley and I was, kind of looking on Facebook, and I'm going, I'd really like to do this. And Don goes, well, why don't you? So the next day.
Okay, I have to stop you. Who's Dan Walsh?
Dan Walsh is a guitar player and an artist. He started playing with Fred Eaglesmith back with the Flying Squirrels. So Dan is an established guitar player on the Canadian music scene. Pretty much anybody who's anybody in Canada knows Dan Walsh, has played with Dan Walsh, or knows of his skill. So Dan, with Bob Egan, created Guitars for Kids in Waterloo, Ontario. And
who's Bob Eden? Who's Bob Eden? Give us
Bob
Give
Egan.
us the dish. Tell us about those boys.
Bob Egan was part of Blue Rodeo. He was the piano player in in Blue Rodeo, I think.
And we love us some Blue Rodeo here in Canada. Blue Rodeo is where it's at, my friend.
So that's where the idea of Guitars for Kids started. So then here in Red Deer, Don Routley, who is one of my customers, he's the guy that has taken the Build Your Own Guitar course, which I offer here as well. So if you want to build a guitar, you can come see me. I'll help you build one. But he was the kind of the driving force and the motor that started Guitars for Kids here in Red Deer. So what we did with direction from Dan, we created Guitars for Kids here in Red Deer, and instead of S's on guitars and kids, we put Z's to differentiate ourselves. And our website is guitarsforkids.ca with Z's instead of S's. So we started it out, and then I was speaking with another friend of ours, Scott Barnaby, who is part of the Red Deer Arts Council.
Yes,
right?
I'm very familiar. I know who this gentleman is.
Yes. So Scott says, well, why don't you come to an Arts Council meeting and tell us what you're doing? Because maybe we could create a committee at the Red Deer Arts Council for Guitars for Kids. So we did that, and Craig Scott absolutely loved the idea, who is the president. He's the chair of the Red Deer Arts Council. And so we became a committee of the Red Deer Arts Council. So as a result, we get to fundraise using.
And if I may, I just want to interrupt. I apologize. You know, there's a lot of people that have been involved with the Red Deer Arts Council. So a huge shout out to the Red Deer Arts Council for all of their support and everything that they've done here for Central Alberta, and everything that they've supported Guitars for Kids. Big shout out to them.
Yeah, so with the Red Deer Arts Council, we are able to fundraise and do lotteries and do those things that nonprofits can do because they have the nonprofit and they have the all of the things already in place. So we were just kind of plug and play when we became part of the Arts Council.
Right.
So Guitars for Kids is now going on just about 3 years here in Red Deer, and we have given to kids. We've actually given guitars to kids, to adults, and to senior citizens. So it really is guitars for people.
Anybody guitars for everyone, right? Anybody who wants to learn a guitar. You have supported the dreams of so many people that want to, especially now during COVID, and not only that, but families who are unable to provide for, to buy an instrument or etc. And you've really made a lot of, Guitars for Kids makes, I said kids, sorry, television, let me tell you, Guitars for Kids has made dreams come true.
Yeah, right? It's really cool. We've had some stories where, that have been heartbreaking, but, there's also been stories where we, a mother who couldn't afford a guitar for their kid, breaks down and cries because she was able to give a guitar to a kid.
Changing lives is
so cool.
Absolutely. Changing lives is a major thing in our industry of music. And it really does affect the individual majorly. How many, out of your estimate, if you will, unless you have the analytics, how many lives have you changed, old and young and small and wherever in this world? How many lives do you think Guitars for Kids has made their dreams come true and changed their fruition with wanting to do music?
In 3 years, we've given out about 120 instruments.
And for those who think that that's a small number, you're wrong. Because that number, I know myself, if I could give away an instrument, I'm willing to give away a lesson. I'm willing to support. And that's one thing that Guitars for Kids absolutely prides itself on. And Dave, let me tell you how amazing Guitars for Kids and with your team back on the eastern side of Canada with Oshawa and Blue Rodeo and everybody that has been a part of what your dream is and how you give back, that's what makes you a superhero here in our local central Alberta region. Can you tell me, David, what it's been like to have some volunteers? You know, one thing that we take a lot of pride on is volunteers. How have volunteers been an asset to your journey, your time, Guitars for Kids, Gilmore Guitars, all the above? How has that been for you?
Well, Guitars for Kids is entirely volunteer based.
Beautiful.
My input.
Absolutely beautiful.
We're a committee of 5 people. So how it works is, and I'll name the 5 people. There's myself. There's Don Routley, Jim Claggett, who worked for Shaw, who is a longtime radio journalist here in town.
Right.
Matt Saylor, who is an RCMP officer, and Shelley Hager. So we've got sort of a good cross reference of people that are on the committee. So when we get a request, you know, I get a request on email, I give it to the entire committee, and we all decide on whether a guitar is going to be gifted or not. And quite frankly, I think in 3 years, we only ever once did not give away a guitar when it was requested. But we've got a pretty good, you know, BS meter with all of us. You know, I've got a career, a 30-year career in radio, plus, you know, 10 years of entrepreneurial guitar building, an RCMP officer, a journalist. Don Routley comes from the insurance industry. So, you know, we've got a pretty good BS meter. So we know if people are in need or just in want.
Right. You know, let me say that I am proud to know who you are. I'm proud to be a friend.
Oh, thank you.
I'm proud to be able to say we support Gilmore Guitars here at Chattin 88. We support Guitars for Kids. We think it's extremely important. We are so honored to know who you are, David. You have really taken your dream, your want, your why, your needs, your desires, and you've given back to the community tenfold. You and your volunteer team at Guitars for Kids, your commitment to providing a high quality guitar for those artists to use as a avenue and as a caveat to express themselves, if you will. You teach how to build guitars. And if people wanted to know more about anything with Guitars for Kids and Gilmore Guitars, David, where can we find you? Just Google Gilmore Guitars.
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty high in the old Google search, but it's gilmoreguitars.ca, and Gilmore is spelled More. So I'm David Gilmore, the guitar builder, not David Gilmore, the guitar player from Pink Floyd. I get that a lot. And Guitars for Kids.
We can figure out how that can work.
And Guitars for Kids, Zed's is guitarsforkids.ca.
KIDZ.
Yes, and we are on Facebook, and we're on Instagram. I actually have 3 Facebook pages for myself. My personal page, I have a Gilmore Guitars Inc. page, and I also have a Gilmore Guitars chat page for people that actually own Gilmore Guitars. They can share their stories on that page, and other people get on there as well, and they share videos and all that sort of stuff of them.
So it's safe to say you're keeping the community alive on social media with those who are Gilmore players.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Absolutely.
what, Dave? Let me tell you, you build a Gilmore piano and I will be your first owner.
I tell you what, Curtis, I do a podcast as well called Live at Gilmore Guitars. Now, I know you're a piano player, but you have a guitar player in your band. So yes, the 2 of you could come. He could play a Gilmore guitar and you could sing some songs, and you guys could be on the Live at Gilmore Guitars podcast.
Absolutely. Let me, you know what? Okay, like now you've just created a conversation that can go for another hour. You really sparked you put a bee in my bonnet, my friend. Let me tell you, as a good friend of mine would say, a bee in your bonnet. I'm going to get back to you on that because I think
Okay.
that's an absolute fantastic idea. But you know what, David, I really have to say, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of our episode here. And I know that we've had a great group of people watching in, and our replay is going to be all over the place on YouTube, on our podcast channel, and as well as on Shaw Spotlight. Dave, any last words of wisdom for us on any ends of the spectrum between aliens and music?
Pick up a guitar and play. It's a second language.
And I would have to say, I agree. I absolutely agree. Dave, you've been fantastic. Thank you so much for being on our show tonight. You are a gem in our local community here, and you really are a true role model for artists, for people who make instruments, for the children and the adults who would like to continue with their dreams. Thank you. We honor you at Chattin 88s. We love you, and we hope that you continue to follow your dreams. And take care of yourself, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We'll let you bow out, and we'll continue the show here.
All right. Cheers.
Have a great night, David. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have to say thank you so much for tuning in tonight. What a great conversation I just had with David Gilmore from Chattin 88s. He is a force to be reckoned with, and a gem, a toy maker for many, a dream maker for many, and so many other things. You can follow up with David Gilmore by searching David Gilmore, Gilmore, and Guitars for Kids. And you know what? Thank you for tuning in tonight. We had a lot of fun, that's right. 'Cause every single week we have a guest spending time with me. I said spending time with me. Did you hear me? I said spending time with me is the best. Oh yeah. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, next week we are starting our show at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Follow us on social media at facebook.com/Chattin88s, YouTube Chattin88s, as well as our podcast Chattin88s. My name is Curtis LaBelle. Have a fabulous evening.